So by now you know how excited I am about automation, the future of UX, what it could actually mean to us and general population basically. But I got a really interesting question from one of the viewers. I'm new to UX, working hard to become one. I just wonder if it's still worth it becoming UX designer in the future. I'm afraid all my hard working goes in vain, studying the wrong field, and I will not find a job for the future. Nah, you're in the right place. There is though some caveats, and I want to illustrate it a bit better. I already made a video some time ago about automation, about UX, and that absolutely everything is gonna be automated, at some point in the future. Basically, if you zoom out enough on a timeline, at some point you're gonna reach that point where this stuff you're doing today is not gonna be needed anymore. Like if you follow something like McKinsey reports in the last couple of years, less than 5% of all occupation across the board could be fully automated. So that's a very small number, but of 60%, so half, a majority of all the different jobs out there, 30% of the tasks could be automated. So this is the way to look at it. It's like you cannot automate everything right now, and that's going to be a case for a while because automation is not linear. Another fact and another statistic, which again sort of applies to UX, but a lot of that applies to things which are more predictable. And predictive is a keyword here because the simpler the task, again, the easier it is to automate it. The easier it is to code that mental model and say, if you take these specific steps and these are the variables, parameters you consider, you're going to arrive at this output and this outcome and an impact for the business. The estimate by McKinsey is that by 2030, around 45 million jobs in US are going to be fully automated. These are rough projections. It's again those predictable jobs which could be changed by robotics, could be changed by other converging factors and emerging technology. It could be changed by simple algorithms and machine learning and AI and a lot of different other neural networks and you name it. A lot of technologies could be applied to that to actually replace some of the jobs. And you yourself already using the tools and peripherals and touch points which you didn't even think about yesterday or let's say 5 years ago, because that's how gradually automation happens. The principal underlying statement here, what I want to kind of hammer again, and a message which you should remember, is that automation is inevitable. And let's say things like people talking about simulation theories kind of support that, because it's more likely that we are living in a simulation or fully automated future where we're remaking ourselves and our technology to support this narrative. Again, there's a lot of science fiction here, there's a lot of philosophy and projection into the future, but ignoring all that, you kind of need to understand that everything we do, even the UX itself as a meta skill sets from behavioral perspective, or how we work with people to understand their human factors, to their human-computer interaction perceptions, and how we use those triggers to shape better experiences, exactly that. The more predictable specific tasks are, the more likely they are to be automated with that technology. And that's where we are gonna get to. Not yet, but we're gonna get there. Having said that, by 2030, in the next 8, maybe 10 years or so, roughly speaking, then a lot of those things we're doing in UI design is certainly going to be automated. So let's say things what we're doing with Figma, let's say shaping design systems and the atomic design principles and the logic to scale different components from the token to the actual, templating and pages. A lot of that is already published out there. If you would just plug it the right algorithm, you could create new layouts, new tokens, new combinations of things, and if a lot of other inputs from designers like yourself, you could then shape that AI in the future, in maybe a decade or so. We're not gonna need UI designers anymore. Granted, it's a specialist skill set. There is always going to be a need for artisans and someone who's a craftsman doing that to just do it slightly different, to add that human element. But there's just so many themes across the board of content generation and things of that nature where if you can predict something, you can automate it. Now, going back to the question though, having all of this kind of quickly dumped on you, I want you to just reflect that UX is not that simple. Like, the disciplines of UX again span years and decades. For you to learn all of them is gonna take decades. But it doesn't mean that it's gonna be like a light switch, that you're gonna arrive at something, you're gonna call yourself a UX designer, and then it immediately gonna become obsolete. Because as you learn every discipline, you're gonna discover new tools, new automated bits, new manual bits, and you're gonna build up yourself and your profile, because the means are gonna change. The underlying principles of you talking to the businesses and partnering up with product managers to arrive at something which works for your customer or user is going to persist. It's just the tools are going to be different. Let's say right now you're struggling to do user research of specific people because you just don't have enough of people to engage with, or your time is limited. Imagine if in the future you could automate a lot of that process, or have a service which is fully automated, which we're heading towards as well in a lot of different disciplines. But your actual learning is going to shape as you go. This is a mindset shift which I want to kind of get with this video, that think of it in a way that you're going to learn the underlying fundamentals, and then the specific touch point or technique or a tool is going to change, but so what? It's just going to make you better at it. As long as you learn the right things, as long as you learn the true UX and experience design as we know it, so you can shape human experience for other people, it doesn't matter what tools or what methods you're going to use, you're going to arrive at those conclusions. And I know a lot of people are fearful because their work is definitely lined up to be automated. But fear should be replaced with a growth mindset, and thinking that, okay, well, this is the reality. In the next 5 or 10 years, my job is not going to exist, or it's going to look very differently. What can I do about it? Learn new skills, learn to code, learn to design things, learn to research new techniques, learn about product management, learn about negotiation, leadership, soft skills, which that's probably the hardest thing to replace. Like, expand yourself as a person, as a professional. So it doesn't matter what you have to design, or it doesn't matter what experience you need to influence or research. You're going to be applying yourself, and you're going to be good, because the only thing which you're going to need to fear is really how to spend the weekend to learn that new AI tool, or use DALL-E 20.0, which generates this, website makers where you just say, oh, I need an e-commerce site design, give me 20 different outputs and design systems to support that, and you're just going to download the one you want and then prototype with that for your client and be golden. If I would give you a last thing, an analogy towards this, that you can go against the stream and knowing that it's inevitable, fight it or fear it, or you can accept it and make the best experience for the future human beings and learn through it and navigate it, so that your raft going down the stream doesn't actually break somewhere down the road. But do let me know your thoughts. If you have something different in mind, drop them down below. I feel like this is a conversation we need to be having more and more. Join the Discord community, pick up my book, and on that note, I'll see you next time.